I stand by all of the artists. We need to save art as a whole. Every part of it, you know, protect the people. Let's be real. Black people have had a huge amount to do with music that we all hear and love today. We are not putting that bit in. We are not putting that bit in because that gonna sound nasty. That gonna sound nasty. No, we ain't putting that bit in. Now, as I said earlier, Quincy Jones has worked with this next artist. And also, there is a biopic being made about her. She handpicked the person who she wanted to play her, and that was Jennifer Hudson. We are going to talk about the one, the only, Miss R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Find out what it means to me. R-E-S-P-E-C-T. Miss Aretha Franklin. So, as well as being a singer-songwriter, as we all know, she was also a pianist, a civil rights activist, and an actress. As I said previously, I'm going to say this again for quite a lot of them, but she started off singing in the church. You're going to hear it a lot, but it's true. Lots of people did start off singing in the church. And initially, her father wasn't as approving of her singing more secular music, which is, I guess, not gospel music or not Christian music. So anything that didn't fit into the traditional hymns that was sung in church. But obviously over time he warmed to the idea and saw the talent that God blessed his daughter with. So he was like, you know what? God bless you, do the thing, slay the thing, bless the world. And she did that. She did. There is no denying that Aretha Franklin did not bless the world with her voice, with her talent, with her gift, with everything. Her music is as much about hope as it is about activism. With songs like Respect, which obviously is, you know, talking about, you know, respect me. But she spoke about things such as female empowerment, civil rights, and also, I guess, probably slightly outside of music, but generally speaking, spoke about Indigenous people's rights. I think recently it was, in America, Indigenous Peoples Day. So if you celebrated that, big up to you, because all of you, every single Indigenous person, you've gone through so much. My heart, my everything is with you. And I just don't feel like you get the love and the support that you deserve. And one day is not enough to celebrate all of the amazing things that, one, you contribute to the world, and two, all that you are, because you're amazing. Her impact was immeasurable. It's so hard to like even be like, how much did she impact people? From people like Ariana Grande, who, you know, we all know and love, who performed at her funeral. Rest in power, Queen, because she performed at her funeral, but then they were also really good friends, and Aretha was a mentor to Ariana Grande. And on top of that, Jennifer Hudson, another person who is heavily influenced by Aretha Franklin, and Beyonce, all of them influenced by her. And countless others. Like, I think you could probably go and ask most singers and performers which, you know, singers have influenced you. The likelihood is some of them are probably gonna say Aretha Franklin, because, you know, she's top tier. Like, top tier legend status. Like, a queen, a certified queen. Next up, James Brown. It's really hard to listen to anything that James Brown has performed or has written or had literally done anything to. It's really hard to listen and not want to get up. Again, this man has lots of different titles. Singer, songwriter, dancer, musician, record producer, and band leader. So this man got a lot of titles. He does, you know, all of the things. He's got his hands in all of the pies or pots or whatever the phrase is. Named the Godfather of Soul for obvious reasons. He really lived up to that in every single way. He brought the soul into every single thing that he did, whether he was doing a slower song or whether he was, you know, doing that foot shaky thing that you literally see so many people trying to recreate on stage in different performances. You know, X Factor auditions, you see them trying to do a whole, you know, James Brown foot thing. You see it because he's had such an influence on so many people throughout so many different generations. Any fans of gospel music, you better listen up. Thomas A. Dorsey. Now, he has had hits such as Take My Hand, Precious Lord, which, you know, really at the time was so outside of the box of what I guess traditional Christian music was like at the time. And he really was kind of like, well, I'm gonna do a little bit of this over here and hopefully y'all will get on board. And now it's pretty much the sound that we associate with traditional gospel music, like really old school traditional gospel music. He also was extremely influential in the early development of blues, as well as gospel as well. Like many things, his initial style that was very different to what everyone was used to in the church was initially frowned upon, but obviously now is something that we all know and love today. So whether we're listening to people like the Kingdom Choir or various other gospel artists like Mary, we're very used to that kind of gospel sound. It's amazing. It really is amazing. It fills so many people with so much hope. Gil Scott-Heron. This is someone who I did not know about at all, and kind of did some deep research into. I really wanted to find out like who was the first person to properly rap. So obviously I think it's back in like 1930s something. Obviously with kind of the scatting and stuff, that sounded very rap-like, and obviously it's been taken a lot from that. But the very first person to rap like to music or anything like that was Gil. His first song was a poem that was basically put to music, but it was kind of rhythmically placed with the music, therefore it was a rap, and it was called The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. Now, when I found out, I was like, oh, it was you, because I've heard that quite a few times before. I've heard it in different films to do with like activism stuff, various different bits and pieces along those lines. It's amazing to me. I find it interesting, and I guess in certain respects good, but sometimes also disappointing that rap music has moved so far from being such an amazing thing used for protest, or been for standing up for what's right or standing up for what you believe in, to, I mean, granted, those things still happen, whether that is female empowerment, whether it's, you know, for, you know, Black Lives Matter or various rights for different people, it still does that. But there's still this huge kind of how you say it? Like, everyone bossy. Everyone bossy. Everyone there just like, look at my car, look at my chain and all that. Don't get me wrong, I love a good rap song about, you know, someone who's living their best life and they got all the money. I love a good rap song like that. But not everyone. Just not everyone. I really do like rap music that's really, really deep, thoughtful, thought-provoking as well. And The Revolution Will Not Be Televised is that. Without Gil, we wouldn't have modern day rap music as we kind of know it today. Granted, so that came out in 1971, and people could argue that the Sugar Hill Gang were the first group of people to release a rap song. But I mean, granted, they both did great things, but I would have to disagree just based on the time in which it was released. The impact that they've both had is amazing, but I just wanted to mainly focus on Gil because I've never heard of him before, and I think most people have heard of the Sugar Hill Gang because they were extremely influential. Now, we're gonna talk about history. We're gonna go back a little bit further than just, you know, the 19 something or the 18 something. We're gonna go way back with this one because I just want to bring up something that I'm so happy that I found out about recently. Louis Armstrong. Now, he is one of the most influential people in regard to how jazz was formulated. So the history of jazz, and if you're a jazz lover, if you love modern day jazz, if you love, you know, listen to people like Gregory Porter or anyone who has like just a I don't know how to describe, but that kind of twang in their voice that's just It's just one of those. You kind of have Louis Armstrong to thank, because without, you know, the blue notes that he's playing on the trumpet and all of those things, just really adding the jazz that, I mean, just adding spice up into the music that wasn't there before. And it really, really transformed so much of what we do. Now, obviously, Louis Armstrong was one of the most iconic trumpeters in history, but before, like way before we even get to Louis Armstrong, we also need to talk about John Blank. Now, I found out about this whilst watching Alison Hammond's amazing documentary on ITV. If you haven't checked out, go find it on like ITV Player or something. I mean, she joked at the start like about her getting a BAFTA. No, genuinely, she really should. It was that good. It was so good how she went and researched everything and, you know, found out so much information. And one of the people who stood out for me the most was John Blank. He was one of, I guess, a handful of African people who were around during the time of King Henry VIII. Which I didn't even know. I didn't even know black people was around in England at that point. I thought black people was all in Africa, all in, you know, Jamaica, all in, you know, in Guyana and all them places. I didn't know they was in England. So when I found out, I was like, we was already here. Cool. And people out here trying to be like, oh, go back to where you came from. I'm from here. Like, don't tell me nothing, John Blank was here. He was one of 6 of the royal trumpeters or trumpet players, or however trumpet people are referred to. He was one of those. So, and he can be seen in tapestries. One of the only black people up in these tapestries, up in these big museums, and there's John Blank there. We make it, black people, we make it from time. And not only that, within the show with Alison Hammond, they found this letter that he wrote to King Henry VIII. And he basically asked for a pay rise. Like, effectively double what he was already being paid. I was there like, go on with it, John, go on with it. Ask for what you deserve to be paid. That's a lesson to us all. Like, you know, ask for that pay rise. Do it. I mean, granted, we are in a whole pandemic, but ask for the pay rise nevertheless. Do it. You should be paid what you're worth. I'll leave you with that one. But big up both Louis Armstrong and John Blank, because, you know, trumpeters for the win. And lastly, but by no means least, we're sticking on the jazz theme now. Ella Fitzgerald. Lady Ella, the first lady of song, queen of jazz. Those are just some of the nicknames that she's been given, because she really did that. Her voice, her everything was so impactful in how jazz was formed. So all of those people I was mentioning earlier, they probably wouldn't have been able to do what they did. Modern day people wouldn't be able to do what they've done without people like Ella Fitzgerald, without people like Louis Armstrong. There's so much brilliance and purity within her voice that just makes her such a transcendent singer. Like, you could probably place her anywhere and just be there like, ooh, that's Ella! And again, Queen, sing it again, woo! Now, she is a winner of 13 Grammys, like, come through. And that's amazing. There are so many amazing moments within history. Like, one of her biggest fans was Marilyn Monroe. And I believe, like, obviously within the time that she was around, there was lots of segregation, discrimination and all that. But because of people like Marilyn Monroe, which is cited, it's cited that Ella really thanked people like Marilyn Monroe who kind of would intentionally come to her performances and sit right in the front row and say, like, you know, I'll sit in the front row of your club or whatever, but I want to see Ella Fitzgerald because I'm a big fan. And that really helped Ella's career, and, you know, up in these big places, getting 13 Grammys and, you know, just being an icon and impacting so many people. Now, as I said, there are so many, so many. There's way more than 10 black people or groups of black people who have had so much of an impact in the music industry. Some of those include Michael Jackson, Nat King Cole, Nina Simone, Prince, Stevie Wonder, Marvin Gaye, Diana Ross, and countless others. Like, actually, just the whole of Motown, like with that oh, what's his name? What's the man name, sir? What's the man name? Berry Gordy. Without people like Berry Gordy, there's so much of a very specific Motown sound that is being reimagined in modern day music today. Without people like Berry Gordy, we need to, within not only just Black History Month, just in history, in our music lessons, geography lessons, English lessons, all of these different lessons in school, Black people, Asian people, Hispanic people, all kinds of people need to be reflected, because I've just talked about 10 in one industry that have affected the whole industry. Think about how many others in other industries of other races that have impacted us all that we don't know about. I'm just saying, it's so important for us all to be educated on it. Throughout this, I've educated myself. I've been there like, whoa, I didn't know about these people. It's great, it's amazing to learn. And without moments like this, and I was saying to my parents the other day, it's so unfortunate that it took such a drastic, upsetting thing to happen, you know, someone literally being murdered, or not just one, but many people being murdered, for it to get to a point where here in the UK, you know, big companies, big corporations are actually deciding, like, you know what, we probably should celebrate Black History Month. And it's sad. It's one of those bittersweet things, because it's like, it didn't have to take that. It really didn't have to take George Floyd being murdered so publicly the way he was for, you know, companies like ITV, Sainsbury's, who are doing amazingly, by the way, like all what they're doing, props. But it shouldn't have taken that for all of the amazing things that are coming out now to happen. It should have been happening anyway. But that's neither here nor there. I just thought I'd bring that up. But thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you've learned something. I hope you found this interesting. Please keep supporting, you know, just the Black community around you, your friends, your family is appreciated. For everyone, this has been such a hard year, and right now we need to continue to show people love, no matter who they are, no matter where they're from, no matter their background, but just show people love who are around you. I'm Victoryforu, hope that you'll be victorious every day. God bless, bye bye, and I'll see you very, very soon.